This is a super double throwdown useful episode. It is a massive volume of filter and cold air testing, this time on Engine Masters. We're gonna have so much information in this episode, and it applies to anybody using tubing to build a cold air kit or having remote filters. Meaning this applies to off-road guys who've got the snorkel, carbureted guys who are doing a remote filter or building a cold air kit, and especially for anybody who's got an EFI setup that has a front-mounted or side-mounted throttle body. Here's what we're going to do. First of all, we gotta find out which filter is big enough. We're gonna start with a dinky little filter and find out if that kills power or not. And that's the theme of the whole episode, is what is restrictive, what kills power. We're gonna move on to building all sorts of cold air kits using a bunch of bends to see if bends kill power. We're gonna try multiple pipe sizes. We're gonna try a super standard unit like this that just is a straight 90-degree right out of that front throttle body. We're also gonna test some off-road pre-filters. Do those choke down the filter and kill power? We don't know. Here's the engine that we're testing today. This is a straight out of the box Blueprint Engines LS 6.2. It makes roughly 500 pound-feet of torque and 550 horsepower. Good enough to check all this stuff out. So that's our program. I'm gonna sit down with Brule for a second, and you're gonna have to watch the whole thing here because there is a massive amount of testing. Remember when we did this on a carbureted motor?
Uh-huh.
I think this is gonna be more interesting.
I had no idea there were that many filters that fit a throttle body.
Yep. Well, that, and I think one of the great things about the show is we've got some budget. Who spends $1,300 on air filters in order to test this stuff?
You spent how much?
$1,300.
I'm telling.
Yeah. No, it's like nobody else gets to test this stuff.
No, and that's part of the advantage that we actually have, is being able to actually go get that stuff and actually be able to test it. I mean, I look through that stuff and I'm like, you've got stuff from tiny and elbows,
stuff you've never seen
this shape
before.
and that shape, but it's all pretty cool. It's going to be interesting.
That's why you're going to like it. Let's start just with no filter, no nothing, just open throttle body. Really, the worst part of the whole thing is we don't have brother Dulcich with us.
I know the other Steve is not here, and I look so forward to it.
So yeah, our normal guy Steve Dulcich is out on a break, so he'll be back. Don't worry. For now, though, it's me and Brulé. This is going to be pretty good.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty normal hopped up 6.2, 550 horsepower, basically 500 pound-feet of torque. It was $499.
Things are pretty amazing for pump gas, 370 inches. I mean, 550 horsepower. We used to fight hard for that.
Ready to start killing it?
I saw them and I'm like, no.
Well, here's the thing. I was talking to your chassis dyno guys. They see this all the time.
You know what I see is that parked right behind the radiator.
Right up against the radiator.
Yeah.
100%. That's why I wanted to do this. This is the very smallest filter I could find at summitracing.com that would fit the throttle body. So I want to cram this on here, and I think what we'll do is we'll just race through all of these and then look at the data later.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this is a Spectre.
Okay.
All the rest of them are K&N, so when we get to this point, it's not a test of the actual filter material, it's just going to be size.
Sure.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Now we're going to go to small size. Now medium. Large. Extra large.
Rapid fire.
That was interesting and not in the way that I had hoped.
Yeah.
Honestly. Here's basically what happened. This is our very tiniest filter, even though it does have an open area in it that adds to the overall surface area. This one is 2 3/4 by nearly 6 inches, and this killed only 9 horsepower.
Yeah, surprising.
It was very surprising. And then this K&N, which is a little bit larger, just a little bit taller, did exactly the same thing. Once we got to this medium-sized filter, which is 6 inches by 5 3/8, it made exactly the same power as it did with no filter whatsoever. And because this was capable of flowing enough air, that means that when we added the larger and larger ones, it had no effect. They all made the same power.
My takeaway on this, that the ones that mount right to the throttle body, it's really more about packaging. I mean, it's going to be hard to say this is big enough, this is too small. My take is that you would put the biggest filter you can as far as reasonable packaging, no matter what.
But either way, you're putting it right up against the radiator of the car.
That was my point. I
It's
don't
the
like
worst.
the packaging of this stuff that goes right on the front, but sometimes you're stuck.
Yeah, so the bottom line is all of these are a bad idea because of underhood heat.
Yes.
But the takeaway I had from here is I'm actually shocked that these only killed 9 horsepower.
They're so tiny. I mean, God, you'd have to put at least this on it just because these look like you're
stupid.
a junior.
Yeah. Okay, there's another thing that I want to do on this before we start dealing with piping and things like that. And I want to talk through with you which filter should we use with an off-road pre-filter.
You know, personally, if I were given a choice, I would use the nylon sock simply because I'm not a fan of the oil.
Yeah.
Because it continues to collect and stick. At least with the nylon, if it gets, you know, more or less clogged,
Falls
it's
off.
going to be falling off.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to get a whole lot worse than as bad as it gets. This just can continue to get worse with the oil. It'll turn it into a mud clot, I would think.
Yeah. So which filter do you want to test them on? The
I say we
medium?
just go with the smallest filter we can and see if there is any restriction
Okay.
with that sock.
All right, we're going to test some off-road pre-filters. First was the nylon sock, now the foam, and I did saturate that thing with oil. Here's an overlay of the filter sock versus the filter foam. As you can see, they're identical, but here's the power numbers. The sock made 494.8 pound-feet and 546.7 horsepower, and then the foam made 496.2 pound-feet and 545.9 horsepower. What we saw is that the loss versus the filter itself, the biggest loss in torque was 4.3, and the biggest loss in horsepower was 3.4, so they don't matter.
No, not much.
So next, I want to start building a cold air kit. So I'm thinking as many 90s and curves and things as we can stack, since that's what it takes to get out the engine and out in front of your radiator. So I've got 3.5-inch pipe and a whole bunch of bends. So let's just make a nightmare and see what happens.
Sounds good.
Okay, next up, nightmare of cold air plumbing. So we put together a mess of 3 90-degree bends at 120, and we're gonna run it with that medium filter, which proved itself on the throttle body to not really kill power.
I call it Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Do you?
Yeah,
That's funny.
You don't want too tight, that's good, actually.
Okay,
Wow, that's got to do something.
let's hope. If that doesn't kill power, then really what we've learned
does?
is nothing matters. All right, let's run it. Now we're doing some damage.
That left a mark.
Left a mark. 486.8 pound-feet of torque and 526 horsepower. Let's look at that overlay to see just how gruesome it is.
What do we compare to?
Medium filter directly on the throttle body.
Ba-boom.
Yikes! Okay, so the black lines are the Snuffleupagus, all of these bends, 390s and a 120. And then the red lines are the same filter here, but directly on the throttle body. So obviously that's hideous. What do we do to start to find out where the problem is?
we're kind of comfortable with the fact that the filter was big enough on the throttle body, so it's the piping causing the problem. Do you think it would do anything by increasing the size of the filter at this point? Or do we just start shortening the piping?
I think we should find out if a larger filter makes a difference.
I think we're obligated to do that, just to be sure.
Let's throw the largest one on there, just to make a big change.
Out of the way.
Let's find out. Okay, we're just going to do a quick filter change, put a bigger one on here, and see if that's the difference. Kind of don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's all the bends, but we have to know.
Yeah.
All right, big filter.
Okay, quick and simple.
Same bends, extra large filter. Okay, the filter didn't matter at all. That was exactly the same. We're gonna go pull off these first two bends and install the filter and find out what it does. Fewer bends, extra large filter. We're trying to narrow down where the actual restriction is that's killing power. Significant.
Yeah.
Flow is affected by air having to change directions.
Sure. Just like water, ask any plumber what a 90 does.
Let's look how much better it was minus a 90 and a 120.
Boom.
Huge.
That's a couple bends. I wonder how many times a filter gets blamed for that.
Probably. Yeah. So there's the two curves. The red lines obviously are the earlier test where we had more bends in it. Black line, the current configuration. Our new power numbers are 542.8 and 493.8. And really the difference starts all the way down at 3,700 RPM.
Yeah, making a difference
just
everywhere.
Gets worse and worse and worse. So the question is, where do you want to go from here? I mean, I think we know if we remove another bend, we're just going to see that power keep on creeping closer and closer to
I think we're so close to adequate right now. I think anything that we do, either shorter or bigger, is going to be an improvement. You know, one of the things that we were talking about earlier was, I initially, just off the top of my head, thought this was maybe a 102 throttle body, and it's actually a 90. The blade is exactly 3.5 inches, which is the same size pipe we have. So we know that the pipe is an adequate size. In theory, I mean, it's the same size as the throttle blade.
Because every foot of it's a restriction.
Oh, no, I'm saying size-wise, just diameter.
Diameter-wise,
But as far as every bend is going to make a difference. So there, in theory, there should be enough diameter there, and we should be able to eliminate bends just to get to that size.
Or I've got 4-inch piping that we can do in this exact same configuration, so we can do A, B, 3.5 pipe to 4-inch pipe.
I actually like your idea better, just simply because now maybe we can overcome the flow loss of the bends with pipe size.
Yeah. So next step, exact same thing, 4-inch pipe.
I'm with you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
All right, let's change pipe. Now we've changed from 3.5 to 4-inch pipe, everything else being equal. That looked like it was like really good. I think there's going to be a difference between 3 and 4, but let's find out. We're digging up data. We just ran that 4-inch pipe instead of the 3.5, and it sure looks like it made a difference. Oh, not as much as I thought. I'm fooled by these little dips right there.
Well, you know, when we ran the 3.5 without this, we were at 543 or something.
Yeah, it was
we weren't
pretty
that far
close.
out. We were close. So.
Yeah. Black line's 4-inch pipe, red line's 3.5-inch pipe. Not as much difference as I thought, but there is a difference. Our new peaks, 498 pound-feet of torque and 545 horsepower, which really is the same as no filter at all, or as the filter right on the throttle body.
In reality, it is. And look, you know, it's a great dyno. It's a great piece of equipment. It doesn't surprise me with the barrel drop and the heat and the humidity and all the things that happen throughout the day. We could see 2 or 3 numbers. I mean, that's not completely out of the question. But
it's the same, and imagine the benefit in a car of getting the filter out of the engine compartment.
That's my whole point.
Which is just going to be even more better.
Yeah, that's not the whole story. If you can match the power and get it out in the cool air.
Yeah.
I mean, in the dyno cell, we can put that filter up on the throttle body. It's there. You put the piping on. It's there. It makes the same power. But in a car, being able to do that is huge.
Yeah, here's the thing you might not understand about the dyno cell is that there is quite a wind going through there all the time, fresh air. So even tucking the filter down next to the header, it's getting a lot of airflow. It's not going to mimic what's going on in the car.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, header temperature and underhood temperature and all that stuff, radiator temperature, everything that you can do to get that filter out into some fresh air is critical.
Let's talk about the things we've learned just now about bends. I think we know that adding bends is worse. We know that increasing pipe size makes it better just because there's more area. And I say that we're right on the power point where it kind of might make a difference. Like if you had 600 horsepower, I would definitely go with the 4-inch. If you had 300 horsepower, just use the 3.5 or 3.
Yeah, and those are some pretty big swings. I mean, yeah, 3.5 is fine for 300 horsepower. In this kind of package with these power numbers, look, 500 is not uncommon anymore.
I know.
So, you know, kind of what I'm starting to feel like is whatever you can package in there.
Make it big.
Make it as big as you can with the biggest filter you can and package it in the freshest air possible.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to worry about whether you made it or not.
The other thing we have going on here is nice, big, smooth, flowing bends. And the hot trend right now is to make tight bends that are all pie cut. Like they'll do 30 pie cuts in a row, all TIG welded and beautiful and stuff, but it's not that awesome.
It might look good, but I don't think that's really great for flow when you have a short turn like that. Yeah.
But packaging is a real thing in a car, which is why our next step is going to be a 90 right out of the throttle body, over to a straight, over to the filter. All right, I'm going to go get the parts. I look at that as more good news.
I know.
It basically didn't kill power, and that's a super practical way to do things.
I'm surprised, and I think kind of what it shows us is it's not so much where the 90s are, it's the fact that there's 90s.
Yeah.
Being right in front of the throttle body doesn't really matter any more than it being down at the filter. That is encouraging because we see a lot of cars like this. Some of them stop right there, kind of next to the radiator against the core support. I've seen some of them that go through the fender well and they're right in front of a front tire. I'm not sure I'm too fond of that with water and
I always wonder about the rain.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, and if a guy never drives it, then I guess, you know, never drives it then. But this is actually pretty practical and pretty real world. I mean, if there's just this much room where you can get that tight 90, you can at least get the filter out from right behind the radiator. It might be beside it and seeing a little heat, but certainly not full flow of the radiator.
And you can add a sweeping 90 and bring it straight forward through the core support. And anything you lose in the 90, you're going to gain from even more cool air.
Yeah, sure.
I learned a lot in this episode. I do have some conclusions written down. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is the wrap up. We sort of hit all these points as we went through the episode, but I would say, first of all, we tested all those filters on the throttle body, but really, we think that's the worst position for them because of heat.
Certainly.
The other thing we found out is that if you're making about 550 horsepower, that 6-inch filter is enough.
When it's on the throttle body. You know, and the filter didn't matter with all the pipes.
Right, we saw no improvement. That was my next point, is that if you've got a whole bunch of pipe, a larger filter isn't going to make up the difference between the restriction and the pipe. Yeah. And we also learned that bends are absolutely bad, so keep them to a minimum, and if you have to have them, run a larger pipe size. We figured out that if you can package 4-inch pipe, do it. If you're at this power level.
Yeah, but package the biggest stuff you can is kind of my opinion, unless you just don't care and it's kind of an aesthetic thing and it's really just a driver. But if power is your concern, it's hard to know where that line is. So just make it as big as you can, package as much in as you can to the freshest air you can.
Right. And oh, the other thing I took away, actually, is when we did hard 90 out of the throttle body, I was really happy that that was not a detriment.
Well, it showed me something, too. I mean, it really is more just the fact that it's a 90, not so much where it is, because there was only one 90 in that whole business there, and it really performed very well.
And, of course, the last thing we know is that dinnerware works every single time on what? Engine Masters.
The night is calling, feel the heat. Electric pulses in the beat. The city shines like burning gold. A story wild yet untold. The lights are flashing, hearts ignite. We're running faster than the night. The rhythm's loud, it shakes the ground. In this chaos we are found. Feel the sparks flying high. Light the fire in the sky. Dancing shadows never fade. We're the storm we've always made. The air is buzzing through my veins. We're breaking free from all the chains. No turning back, we're on the run. Chasing dreams until